Again, it was recently that we saw SKillous take down Rogue in Masters Coliseum. Likewise, SKillous has been taking down SHIN as well. They've been trading back and forth. So we'll see how this story unfolds. I would love to see an ace match. But for now, we're diving into game 1 on El Dorado. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the South Korean Zerg player. The Red Zerg representing Diamond Gladiators, it is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid, it is SKillous. We go. As SHIN does open up with a 15 hatch. As a result, able to get his base up and running on location without being disturbed by the probe. So a nice start here by SHIN as we settle in. Thank you for the translations. Beyond, go away. Not gonna say it twice. I'm afraid it seems like defensible. Oh no. Not like this. But yeah, it was just a rough turn of events, just a rough build order for Beyond in that last game. It happens from time to time. It happens. Not too frequently anymore, but every now and then. So now we do have a SHIN going for his 15 hatch into his pool, into a delayed gas geyser. Meanwhile, SKillous back at home just going for his own gate expand. Everything looking as it should. And once again, welcome all to El Dorado. This is the starting map for the round of 16. It is where we all do begin. Here we go. So we do settle in. Yes, and as Kuro was stating, yes, it was announced recently that Maru, I think it's both Maru and Ryung, if I'm not mistaken, and I think Crank as well, but they are contracted with Vitality for the next couple of years. Is great to see. We did actually speak on that during the podcast when that happened. That was what, like, was that beginning of December? Maybe beginning of December, something like that. For those that maybe have not heard. If you remember, we were lamenting a little bit at the announcement of those contract signings because if you remember, that was right after Solar had left Team Vitality, so it was very sad. It's like he missed out on that, unfortunately. As SHIN is going to be taking his third, expanding towards his opponents, going for the triangular location. With that, should be looking quite secure. Likewise, SKillous is going to be opening up or selecting his tech of choice, going to be going for a Stargate into Oracle. So far, so good. Oracle opener out of SKillous to harass across the map. And it's going to be on SHIN to keep up and to defend. Likewise, double it up shading towards a natural. SKillous, he does get away. Does pull back. Preserves the Adepts. And the Oracles are coming. On the way. So far, SHIN hasn't taken any major losses yet. He has 2 queens here at the natural. Likewise, the main base, there is a Spore in position alongside a queen. So far, so good. SHIN, he's keeping up. Meanwhile, that is going to be the Twilight Council follow-up here. So third base into a Twilight Council. This isn't the earliest of Twilight Councils, but this could be one of two things. Either Fast Blink or Fast Glaives. Both, of course, are going to be more aggressive. One more aggressive than the other, of course, but both are going to be assertive on the map. The downside here for SKillous, or the reasoning for this earlier Twilight Council, is a delayed Forge. Delayed Forge, delayed upgrades. So much more aggressive here. What's it going to be? Twilight Council is done. And it is, in fact, going to be Blink. Okay, so early Blink here by SKillous. And again, the downside is that coming into a longer game state, his upgrades are going to be delayed. I'm referring to +1 and +2. But the upside, because Blink is so fast, SKillous can be active earlier on. Stasis going on in the natural. Does catch one drone. So far, good response here by SHIN. SHIN gets eyes on the third. Does get eyes on saturation. Well, meanwhile, a big shout out to Walrus Jutsu. Thank you so much for gifting a sub to Luna C. Oh my god. Kamsahamnida. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for gifting a sub to Luna C. Do appreciate it. I'm sure Luna C appreciates it as well. Gracias. Thank you. And again, shout out to Luna C for giving us some translations in the chat as well. We appreciate it. We appreciate hearing the banter. As SKillous is moving out, as a reminder, Blink is almost done for SKillous. And as a result, he can apply pressure. He can poke in, shave off Lings, threaten the mineral lines, threaten the queens. We'll see what he can get done. So far, he does catch the tumor. Tumor goes down. SKillous can blink over the wall. SKillous gonna be rushing into the fleet. Oh my, he's crazy. Rushing into the fleet beacon. Now, we spoke about this previously, about certain popular builds on this map in PvZ. We brought up max packs earlier. We were casting, I think we were casting classic, sorry, mana earlier in the day. But here on El Dorado, rushing into Tempest or rushing into carriers is not unheard of. We've seen players like Classic, like Hero, like Max Packs as well, embrace this kind of style. I'm curious if this is for Tempest or if SKillous is rushing into a Mothership. There is a build that I've rarely seen myself. Based on this gateway, based on this ground commitment, it looks like it should be a Mothership rush, but I am aware that there is a build, yeah, there it is, Mothership's on the way. There is a build that's been wreaking havoc on the European server, specifically amongst the European players, less so the Koreans, which involves rushing into the Mothership in quite a fashion, like this, where the Mothership is more of a supportive unit. Because of the recent buffs of the Mothership, the DPS is actually quite high. The cloak can be quite effective, slow zone as well. So this Mothership rush can be, I mean, it's terrifying. And I've only seen it once myself in competitive play. I think when I saw it, it was Max Packs. SKillous rotates over. Mothership is halfway done. And this Mothership timing can be brutal. So far, SKillous poking in, gets eyes on the fourth, will force a cancel. At least he tries to. Oh, one more volley. Up! Then he will barely get it. Cancel on the expansion. Meanwhile, the Hydra, they come in for a surround. Nice catch here by SHIN. Does flank the army. Massive pick of Stalkers. They get shut down. Barely any of them escape. Only 3. Only 3 do make it out. 8 Stalkers did go down. And despite the early Mothership, I mean, where's the army to support? It's not really there. With that, SHIN gains map control. Can re-expand, retake the 4th base. Going for a massive Doom Drop. He's great, let's go! Going for a Doom Drop. He did scouts. Yeah, he saw earlier. He did see the fleet beacon. He's a D.Va enjoyer. Diving into the main. Revelation does get eyes on this. And can SKillous hold? Ooh, so far, Jesus. Does zone back the army. Does zone it back. So far, SKillous in position. Takes out a full medevac, or full drop load even. Station Trap's going to be going up. Ling Roche, they hit the 3rd base. And SKillous is being pulled apart. Storm is done. Storm's on the Hydras. Cloak gets activated. And SKillous, he will defend the main, but what about the 3rd? What about the 3rd base? That is non-existent. The mineral line goes down. 27 probe kills. The Nexus as well. And SKillous, sure, he defended beautifully here in the main, but the 3rd has fallen. And from here, SHIN, he can go for the 4th. As he's just pulling SKillous apart. And again, SHIN, he was aware of the fleet beacon. He did scout earlier. His response, just mass aggression. The Doom Drop back. Let's go. Takes down the 4th as well. Focus on cooldown. SHIN diving on the High Templar. He gets 1. GG gets called, and SHIN snowballs out of control, taking game number 1. GG. Does take a lead in the series. Again, a very intense game one here. Some nice moves out of SHIN to be able to catch out the Stalkers, to be able to scout the fleet beacon, and of course respond the way that he did. The Doom Drop may not have killed SKillous, but it did allow SHIN to actually pull him apart and deal critical damage at the third. At the fourth base as well, did successfully pull SKillous apart, and with that, SKillous was just unable to really get into his own build and embrace his own fleet beacon rush, his own mothership rush. Didn't really come into play. Now we're getting into game number 2. This is going to be SKillous's map of choice. Shouldn't be a surprise as we are once again loading into Amygdala. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss for Team Liquid, down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back and force the ace match. It is SKillous. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Zerg player representing Gaiman Gladiators leading the series 1-0. It is SHIN. Here we go. So we are going to be settling in. This time SHIN just going for the natural hatch gas pool. As a result, there is no extractor trick, and as a result, SKillous, he will deny the natural. Is in position, will force the unnatural natural out of SHIN. Forced to expand elsewhere. And likewise, back at home, SKillous just going to be opening up with a gateway into Nexus. The question really becomes, how does SKillous open up? In the last game, SKillous did open Stargate. He did open up Stargate into Fast Blink. He wasn't really too invested into the early game Blink aggression, and we saw it fall in its face based on the Hydra movement out of SHIN. So it was a bit of a lackluster start for SKillous, but there is still potential to go for that kind of style. What I will say here on Amygdala, aggression early on can be quite difficult to pull off, so I would imagine that SKillous is going to take a more macro approach this time. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on SKillous to see if he does deviate. Cybercore has been placed, getting his natural. Likewise, SKillous across the map, just being as annoying as possible. Just harassing the mineral line. Let's harass. So far we can just settle in. Going to be droning on up, and soon we're getting to our tech of choice. That's really the first thing that we're really going to be keeping our eye out for. SKillous does run on its pylon closer to the edge of the map, to the edge of the main, and this should be for a Stargate. Typically, if you want a high tech, you throw it on the pylon further back behind the mineral line, and the Stargate has been placed. So it is going to be the Stargate opener. Probe is being active. Hoping to delay the third base if at all possible. With this Stargate, I would imagine Oracle opener into double, into triple Oracle, into a third base. Mentioned earlier here that despite the aggressive build out of SKillous in the first game, here, I mean, aggression, it's not too easy to really embrace just because of how large the map is, because of how long the rush distance is by ground, likewise because of how limited the attack paths are as well. At least in the early game. Once the rocks get knocked down, then the map does open up. Until then, though, much more defendable. As SKillous pokes in, it's forced back. Second Adept has arrived. The first Oracle is on the way. We'll see what skills can get done. Remember, 2 Adepts, they can one-shot workers. They can one-shot drones. SKillous, he threatens a shade. Picks up a Ling. Is forced out. Hoping to catch any transferring workers. And he does shade into the main. He commits. He's going for the drones. He gets 1. He gets 2. He gets 3. Oh, does barely not get the third worker, though. Clutch morph in. Here we go. Third drone does go down. 3 drones for 2 Adepts. Not the best trade here for SKillous, but a trade nonetheless. Now he does follow up with the Oracle. Now, because the Adepts just went down, that means the Lings, they can move out. So there's nothing to stop SHIN from being active on the map. So the Lings, they break free. Oracle dives in. Spore isn't quite ready. He gets 1 more drone. Just the 1. Not quite worth it for SKillous. And back at home, he is contained. The Lings have arrived, and there is no third base. Ooh, the Oracle. The Oracle did go down. Ay, ay, ay. Brutal pickoff. First Oracle falls. Lings, they force the activation of the Pulsar Beam. And this is a rough start for SKillous. He lost the Adepts, he lost the Oracle. He's stuck at home. And from here, SHIN, he can drone. He can freely drone up and start to tech. And we'll see if SHIN does get into Roach production. We should be seeing a Roach Warren within the next 30 seconds. If we don't, we could see SHIN just rushing to a fast lair and go Ling Hydra instead. SHIN could try to cut some corners. Now just saturating his bases. There we go. Safety Roach Warren is on the way, so he's playing safe. This does mean that if SKillous did go for an earlier move out, an earlier aggression, that SHIN would be ready for it with Roaches. So again, just very safe play here by SHIN. Behind this, Twilight Council and a Forge. This time we do have upgrades. This time we do have a little bit more longevity, but actually that is not Blink. That is Charge. Interesting. Charge is on the way for SKillous, so this is going to be a more committed timing here from the Red Protoss. Going to be hitting with +1 with Charge. Gateway Explosion is on the way. And this would do well if there wasn't a Roach Warren. Now, there is still a chance here that maybe SHIN skips Roach production. If he just makes purely Lings and expands and probes and gets up to Hive Tech or gets up to Hydra Tech, then there is going to be a window here where that SKillous can abuse. SKillous, he does throw down the Temple Archives, getting to Charge Archon. +1 range is on the way. This tells us that SHIN most likely is going to embrace Roach production. If it was Ling Hydra, we would see +1 melee instead. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I assumed it was going to be leading into Hydras, but no. Gases are being taken, and SHIN throws down the Spire instead. Bold move. Spire is on the way. Now, I was going to say that I believe SKillous should be hitting first, and he should be able to strike SHIN before he gets into Mutas, but that is 2 Robos on the way. This tells us that SKillous, he might be more defensive instead. Oracles dive in, they barely don't quite get eyes on the tech. Just barely not. There's a revelation, but they don't see the Spire. Just barely not. SKillous, he breaks out. Roach production has begun for SHIN. SKillous, let's find a mineral line, not bad. Workers are going down. SHIN likewise scouting the main. Storm is on the way. SHIN is committing here into Roach production. Spire so far unscouted. But the gases were seen, and with all those gases being spotted without a Hydra Den, SKillous, a good read, he does start the Phoenix. Sometimes the lack of seeing any tech is really a sign in and of itself. Didn't see a Hydra Den, didn't see a Bailey Nest either. So is playing it safe. Phoenix has arrived to shut down the Overseer, just the one Phoenix. And SHIN, he is going to be hyper-fixated still on Roach Ravager. It's also possible that because of the revelation in the main, SHIN believes he got scouted. Like, he doesn't know that it hasn't been seen. So SHIN actually hasn't made a single Muta. Not a single Muta has been produced, just focusing on purely Roach Ravager, and SHIN, he's pushing in. He's going for the Storm isn't done. Oh no, 10 seconds. No shot. The timing is brutal. Storm is not ready. 1, 2, 3. Every High Templar going to be going down. Storm is denied. Storm finishes, but 0 High Templar. Ay, ay, ay. SHIN, he strikes just in time. SKillous caught with his pants down. Not quite ready. Immortals are building up. But SHIN, he's on the third. On the third beam. Zealots, they barely do hold on. SHIN being forced back for a moment, but Roach, they're coming from behind. That is a little bit Immortals, though. And SKillous holds. Ooh, SKillous, he does hold on. Again, making 2 Immortals at a time. He's got a lot of Immortals, but alas, lost every single High Templar. That was still a better trade for SHIN. And SHIN is remaxing. He backs off, he rebuilds, he remaxes. He's coming in for the second wave. When you see SKillous throwing down a wall of shield batteries, a wall of cannons, he's trying to hold on, trying to survive. The High Templar, they need more time. And the Immortals are exposed. He gets one, he gets two. We should soon be seeing that first storm. But again, SKillous, he needs a couple more seconds. Immortals, they're going down. There's one Immortal left. SHIN just forcing his way through. There we go. The first storm has arrived. And there's two more storms available. There's the NG overcharge. Another storm connects. There's one Immortal left. But it's just too much. It's just too much at this point. Brutal storm here on the army. SHIN, he just stands in the storm. But he has it up. He overwhelms. Takes out the Immortals, the Archons, the High Templar, the Mineral Line, and everything else. And SHIN, he made a Spire. He never really made use of it. GG gets called, and SHIN will take the series 2-0. GG. Based on what just happened, I'm pretty sure SHIN thought he got scattered. I'm pretty sure SHIN, with that revelation in the main, I think he thought he got scattered. Likewise, the Phoenix that was revealed as well. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this Spire, but we're not going to make any mutants. We're just going to commit and max out on purely Roach Ravager. He did get up to 70 workers and just double down. Unfortunately, as we saw, SKillous wasn't quite ready for that. SKillous, he was initially prioritizing Storm, delaying his robot production, delaying his Immortals in favor of Storm. He had, what was it, 6 High Templar. He had 6 High Templar ready and waiting, and he lost every High Templar before Storm finished. As a result, wasn't quite worth it. His Immortals were delayed. The Immortals, they did arrive eventually, did allow him to survive at least a little bit longer, but at that point, the damage was done. At that point, the damage was done. GG, well played. SHIN will take the series, will take down SKillous and advance on into the quarterfinals. GG. GG, well played. Unfortunately, SKillous, he had no map vision. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that he had his oracles, that is true, but he wasn't quite able to get eyes on the move out. He wasn't quite able to get eyes on the roaches. And again, the initial investment into Storm wasn't worth it either. I'm not entirely certain that SKillous was aware that he was hitting that timing as well as he was, but again, 10 seconds later, and most likely SKillous holds, and he has a much stronger defense as well. He would have had so many storms to work with instead of 0. With that, GG, well played. And we have one series left here in the round of 16 that we're going to be embracing. Of course, this also means that SHIN faces off against Ryung in the quarterfinals. We'll get there eventually. For now, we have one more match in the round of 16. Up next is going to be a PvP between Hearthstone and Classic. Let's go. Once again, game 1 is going to be on El Dorado.